Good afternoon. The Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police has defended the tactics of the force in breaking up last night's vigil for Sarah Everard, the 33-year-old woman whose body was found in Woodland on Wednesday. Dame Cressida Dick said she welcomed an independent review into what happened, but that anyone who wasn't in the operation cannot pass detailed comment. Officers made several arrests, saying the gathering risked COVID infections, but critics say police tactics were heavy-handed. MPs will debate a new bill this week, giving forces wider powers in dealing with public gatherings and demonstrations. This report from our home editor, Mark Easton, contains some flash photography.
Within moments of being taken, this picture of police holding down a woman on Clapham Common last night became a symbol of female defiance against male aggression. As darkness descended on the vigil for Sarah Everard, what had been a peaceful and respectful demonstration of female solidarity turned ugly. Police moved in to disperse the crowd. There was pushing and shoving, with a number of women taken away in handcuffs. 4 were arrested for public order and coronavirus regulation breaches, among them Dania.
As I was sat in the van, as my hands were handcuffed, I was just thinking, gosh, all I wanted was to stand with other women. The fear that has been brewing for years. From a very young age we get harassed and we're aware of the abuse and violence against women.
No justice, no peace!
As the police surrounded the bandstand, emotions intensified.
They had grabbed me, they was being really aggressive, twisting my arms, they had put me in the handcuffs. The beautiful women stood with me. One of them, as the pictures are circulating, she was thrown to the floor. She had police officers on her back, with their knees, their feet.
The police are saying that they had to act for public safety reasons.
I personally, being there, didn't see anyone being at risk.
Shame on you! Shame on you!
The sight of women who'd come to stand together against male violence being manhandled has led to a chorus of criticism from across the political spectrum. The Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, who runs policing in the capital, described the scenes as completely unacceptable, demanding the Commissioner of the Met, Dame Cressida Dick, explain herself at a meeting in City Hall today. An official inquiry was ordered by the Home Secretary, Priti Patel, this afternoon, as Dame Cressida defended her officers.
They have to make these really difficult calls. And I don't think anybody should be sitting back in an armchair and saying, well, that was done badly, or I would have done it differently, without actually understanding what was going through their minds.
The Metropolitan Police were already being investigated for events around the Sarah Everard murder inquiry. Now Scotland Yard's leaders find themselves under increasing political pressure.
The focus really of this weekend should be on Sarah Everard and her family, but it is right also that the police explain their actions.
They should have been allowed to protest, to have their vigil, to come together in peace, and I was very disturbed to see the police action. I think it was wrong, and I'm pleased it's now going to be reviewed.
There is evidence to suggest that some of those who attended the vigil had been looking for trouble, and the police have been criticised before for not intervening in protests during the pandemic, notably by the Home Secretary. This evening, a crowd of protesters gathered outside Scotland Yard, presenting a new challenge to the police's ability to handle the outpouring of anguish sparked by Sarah Everard's death. Up to now, the Met stands accused of getting it badly wrong. Mark Easton, BBC News.
Well, Sarah Everard's death has shone a critical light on the issues of violence against women and the safety of our streets. Our correspondent Katie Austin has been to Clapham in South London to speak to some of the women who attended last night's vigil about why it was important for them to go.
Catherine and Anna Maria made the short walk from their homes to Clapham Common this afternoon.
I mainly wanted to pay respects to Sarah Everard and her family. It's had a massive impact on me as a woman living around here, and I think it has so many others.
Both went to last night's vigil despite being aware of lockdown rules. They say they wore masks and kept social distance.
We couldn't not go because it affects every single one of us.
It is rare for a woman to be abducted off the street, but in recent days many women have been sharing other experiences on social media of feeling afraid, being harassed or assaulted.
There were just so many posts all about what happened, about Sarah Everard, but also just in general.
It's resonated with everyone I know, not only in the southwest of London, but every woman I know has a story.
The sea of flowers at the bandstand continued to swell today. People stood in reflective silence. The number of tributes which have been left and the number of people still coming here today is just one sign of how widely Sarah's story has resonated. Naomi also chose to attend yesterday.
I didn't like being told that I wasn't allowed to.
She felt it was too important.
Looking at Sarah, you just think it could have been me, or it could have been my friends, or it could have been my loved ones so easily. And just to carry that fear around with you every day, it just weighs you down.
A week that's included International Women's Day and Mother's Day has also seen mourning for the shocking loss of a woman's life and a wider national conversation about male violence and female safety. Katie Austin, BBC News.
Let's join our home editor again, Mark Easton, who's with me. Sarah Everard's terrible death, the vigil last night and the police handling of it, together, they all seem to suggest this is a big moment in society and how we deal with these kinds of things.
I think so. There are moments, there are catalysts for public mood to change, for the politics to change. And we saw that with the Black Lives Matter movement and the death of George Floyd. And perhaps we're seeing the same thing with the death of Sarah Everard, that this eruption of emotion and anger reflects on a change and forces a rethink, actually. The political unanimity that we're seeing about the need for an investigation into the police and their handling of the vigil, and wider concerns about the way that they handled the murder inquiry. And I think that reflects a sense that perhaps the wind has changed. Because as well as her meeting with the London Mayor, Sadiq Khan, today at City Hall, Dame Cressida also attended a meeting with the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, in Downing Street, a sign of how important this issue has become. Now, Dame Cressida says she has no intention of resigning, and both the Prime Minister and the Labour leader, Keir Starmer, have said they have confidence in her leadership. But this affair is not over, Clive.
Okay. Mark, many thanks. Mark Easton, our home editor.